Unmute. Okay. So here I am again.
Hare Krishna. Welcome back.
Hare Krishna. Let me see. I'm not used to this computer though. Oh, my goodness. I have to... Okay, so screen sharing. All right, you're sharing my screen?
Yes, yeah, we can see that.
Okay. You got the PowerPoint?
Yep.
Let's see. Slideshow. I have to go through these again. So we were talking about the loving exchanges, and we were at Pratigrinati. We had some difficulties there. Sometimes can be. The main problem, money itself can be contaminating. So if a person thinks this money belongs to me, then that is a problem. So we have to understand that whatever donations are given, they actually belong to the society. They don't belong to the individual. So Prabhupada explains here, money is undoubtedly coming in great quantities, but we should not be attached to this money for sense gratification. Every cent should be spent for spreading Krishna consciousness movement, not for sense gratification. There is danger for a preacher when he receives great quantities of money, for as soon as he spends even a single cent of the collection for his personal sense gratification, he becomes a fallen victim. And that's from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 13, text number 32, purport. So Srila Prabhupada himself warns all of us, and here we quote Prabhupada's own spiritual master, if you ever get money, print books. That's good advice. Use the money to print books. And in the early days of our Krishna consciousness movement, our movement didn't have money. We never had money. We were always in debt. And so money was not a big problem. We didn't have it. But Prabhupada did say that if you get money, then 50%, whatever income comes to the temple, half of it should go for books to the BBT. Buy books from the BBT and keep the books in the temple. Even the temple doesn't have much money. If you have books, and then it's good, you can go out and preach. So Prabhupada liked that. Keep books, don't keep money. Don't keep money in the bank. Better you keep books. And then Prabhupada talks about the problem with money, that it attracts the opposite sex. It may be a man's got money, it may be a woman's got money. Sometimes rich women are also there, and they attract the men. So we Krishna conscious men have to deal with women and money in the course of preaching work. And the only prophylactic measure is to save us, not to accept them for our sense gratification. Prophylactic will protect us from the contamination. So if we don't use them for sense gratification, then we shall remain strong enough. Materialistic people take everything for sense gratification. And Krishna conscious people take everything for Krishna's satisfaction. There is no fault in the thing as it is, women and money, but it becomes faulty by improper use, and the improper use is to accept them for sense gratification. So caution, we have to be very careful, always be on guard, right? So here's a question we want to talk about for some time. ISKCON's success in facilitating loving exchange. You can see a beautiful picture here, Srila Prabhupada giving prasadam to the children, how it creates lasting, lifelong impressions in the mind of the child, how Srila Prabhupada gave them a cookie or something. So here's our question for the devotees. We're going to have a little group work. Have we got time? Can we do it? Krishna Keshava Prabhu?
Yes, we've got 30 minutes.
Okay, can we have time?
We could spend 15 minutes in groups, and then we could have feedback for 15 minutes. We may not be able to hear from all the groups, but you could certainly take responses from maybe 2 or 3 groups afterwards.
All right, so we read the question. We want you to reflect on situations where you felt nourished by one or more of the loving exchanges, or in which you felt starved, no affection between devotees, by exchanges that could have been within the realm of loving exchange, but somehow they weren't. So please consider, are you going to put the devotees into groups, Prabhu?
I am, yes. Shall I open the rooms now?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be in random groups of between 6 to 7 people, or 7 to 8 people actually, I beg your pardon. Yeah, okay, you can join your rooms now.
Oh, I'm in room 5.
Wow. So somebody's going to have Maharaj in their room, he's going to join you for a while, and I'll flip from room to room.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Raja Vijay Prabhu. Yeah?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So you lead the group. You can lead the group, Raja Vijay Prabhu. Lead the discussion.
Yeah. So we are discussing about the 6 exchanges, right? So let's first discuss about what are the exchanges we are going to have. The exchanges. Can anybody tell me, please?
Well, giving prasadam and accepting prasadam.
Thank you, Maharaj. Okay, I was asking the other devotees also for giving prasadam and exchanging prasadam. You take
Gifts and accepting gifts.
Sorry, Mataji?
Giving gifts and accepting gifts.
Very good.
If I can add a point, maybe giving thoughtful gifts like to a Brahmin, some nice dhotis, kurtas, some devotee would be in the need of some particular need of something which would be useful for their preaching or things, so on and so forth. So we can have a thoughtful gift in that way.
Okay. So for the needy, right? In the need. All right. Anybody else? Janana, you might ask, Prabhu? Would you like to contribute something? Chidananda, you might ask, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Prabhu. No, I just mentioned that point. I was just saying that give thoughtful gifts. I mean, if suppose a brahmachari is going out and preaching, and you notice that because of his enthusiastic preaching, his dhoti has been torn. So a nice gift, a nice thought on your part would be to give a nice dhoti for the brahmachari, so that he can continue his preaching. I mean, he may not realize it, but it's a nice thought on your part to notice these small things and have a thoughtful gift in such a manner.
Right. Okay, thank you. Saurabh Prabhu, you want to contribute something? Hare Krishna, Saurabh Prabhu.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So we can reveal our minds in confidence and also inquire confidentially with someone who is maybe we are mentoring someone, or if some devotee friend is also coming to us and he wants to just say something confidentially to us, we can understand his point of view and can help him.
Okay, confidentiality, okay, confidential matters. Yeah. So anybody else has got any other points to discuss?
I remember I met a young man from South America, and he was telling me how he'd been studying in Australia, and he said he took part in the Melbourne Marathon, you know? Oh no, it was the Sydney Marathon, right. And they were running, and he said he remembers at the end, during the devotees came with pieces of orange. And he said, he was so hot and sweaty, and he said it felt so good. He said, I just remember these devotees coming. They gave me these pieces of orange to eat. He said, I can never forget. So just a little gift, but at a very appropriate time, when he was really hot and exhausted, and the devotees came, they were distributing oranges to all the runners. And so he really appreciated it, made a deep impression on his mind.
Yes, Maharaj, we are also doing the same kind of thing here in Brisbane. We are going out in the beach or something like that, I have personally approached some, there's a big vegetable market here, so I've approached them. And one time, one of the vegetable seller, because we buy regularly vegetables from them for the temple and for the Govindas, so he gave one big bin, which was about half a ton of oranges. Oh. And we distributed on the beach when we went on Harina.
Yeah. People really appreciate it.
Yes, yeah. And a lot of times we also make cookies and we distribute on the street, especially on the New Year Eve, when there are thousands of people are there watching the fireworks, and we distribute the cookies, and people, they really come and grab from us, and we write a small note on it about Hare Krishna and what we are, and people, they appreciate that. Anybody else want to add any other points?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is I'm Krishna Vijayadas. So one thing about loving exchanges among devotees is usually we have once or twice sanghas among the different grahasthas here in Mayapur. So where we come together, we read the books, discuss, and sometimes share also. Some devotees have some concerns about how they're struggling in their sadhana, then we encourage them. And also if somebody has some concerns, we also discuss. And then we have kirtan together, and then we have prasadam. So this is always helping devotees to keep up their sadhana in Krishna consciousness. It's like very, this all sadhanas are very enlightening.
Very nice point. Very good point. we also recently, during this pandemic period, because everything was locked down, everybody was in their own. So we were finding a bit slack in our chanting. So we have started a morning japa session on Zoom. And a lot of devotees we meet together and on Zoom. And it has become so nice and very ecstatic that no matter what time we sleep, like yesterday night, last night I slept quite late, but it was there in my conscience that I have to get up, I have to meet all the devotees on Zoom and we have to chant together. So this is one of the exchanges. And we give 10 minutes, each devotee is about 10 minutes. In 10 minutes we discuss few of the spiritual topics, which is quite related to what you are saying, Prabhu, very nice. Thank you very much. The Maharaj saying, yes, we need to discuss.
So that is only the Brisbane devotees who come, or the whole of Australia?
Oh, Maharaj, even one devotee from Papua New Guinea is coming, joining from Sydney, also some devotees. But there is a time difference, so it becomes a bit of a difficult. So, but we have about 20 of us regularly. Regularly we are chanting.
Very good. Yeah. Do you have any examples of negative experience? I think maybe, say, like you run a restaurant, the people come, they complain, that food is too expensive, or do you have trouble like that with people anytime?
Generally, Maharaj, in Australia, they like the halwa and the kofta, very popular among the ISKCON. Devotees, they go from town to town, they have shows and they participate in the shows, and very popular. Sometimes, yes, a few times we had a bit of a difficulty in the restaurant about that, but then that was tackled. But generally, Maharaj, we didn't have much difficulties. We didn't have much of negative of the people. They do appreciate prasadam.
I just wanted to add one small thing. I don't know if we can call it negative, but it's certainly different. Like when we're distributing prasadam to somebody, and then you finish distributing the prasadam, and then another person finally comes up and says, "Where's my prasadam?" And then everything is over. But then the person gets upset. I didn't get any prasadam. So that's certainly a different experience, because you're also disappointed in yourself for not getting so much prasadam. And then the person who could have got some prasadam and had some change in his life, he is also. That's why I make it a fact that whenever I go, I carry a big box of some Maha prasadam from our temple. So whenever I'm traveling and I just distribute something, buy something from some shop or something, first thing before paying them money, I first give them some prasadam, and then the entire dealing is so different. And I say that the prasadam is from Krishna, and this Krishna prasadam, and they say, "Oh, Krishna prasadam," and then suddenly the entire dealing is very sweet. And that's one small realization that I had.
Just wanted to add a few things. Negative, what Maharaj was mentioning about, like in restaurant, usually we see that we as ISKCON promoting prasadam, but nowadays we see that many of our ISKCON restaurants are more like commercial, rather that quality, but the purity, who is cooking, what I understand from restaurants of ISKCON, we supposed to distribute sale prasadam, which is cooked, first class cooked by Brahman initiated devotees and with good consciousness. So whoever is eating, also through prasadam, he start getting into understanding Krishna consciousness. He start liking Krishna consciousness. So that one negative thing I feel is there now, which is and also when devotees, sometimes our sadhana is not good, or then basically sometimes when devotees meet, rather discussing Krishna consciousness, they are more into prajalpas and talking, finding faults of others. He did like this, he did like that. Rather, discussing about Krishna Katha.
Oh, and the topics of the conversation degrade, rather than being in Krishna consciousness, they go to the bad things. Yeah, Of course, the idea of coming together with the devotees is to help them to get rid of their doubts. So, when they talk bad, it means they've got some doubts about something. So sometimes we have to deal with these things. We have to reply and answer to them and explain what happened, what's the situation. It's certainly difficult. Senior association, some senior person has to always be there to try to keep the topics of the conversation on the proper path, that they don't get into just finding fault, but they should understand what are the problems, what are the difficulties. Maybe some fault there, just like in restaurants, you're working there in a restaurant, people may say, oh, the restaurant's making so much money, we're hardly getting any pay. They may say like that. I don't know.
Yes.
No, so you have to deal with these kind of problems. You have to explain that, you should be happy you're working for Krishna. You work in a Krishna conscious atmosphere. And whatever profit the restaurant makes, it goes to the temple. It's not going in anybody's pocket. It's going to the temple. You go and work in a Karmi restaurant, you won't find the same facilities there, no prasadam, and all the profit's going in the money of the owner, and he's using all the profit for his sense gratification. But in Govinda's, you're working for Krishna. So you have to deal with doubts, you have to somehow reply, keep people happy, try to bring them to a higher level of consciousness. I know it's not easy.
And again, Maharaj, there are costs for everything, particularly in the Western country, it's too high. So we have to adjust with that also, the cost of the ingredient bhoga, the cost of the maintenance of the Govindas paying the rent, all those things are important.
And so many expenses, involved.
Yes, yes.
Actually, restaurants are very difficult. I know in the UK, when I was in the UK, they used to say nearly 80% of restaurants which open close. They don't make it for hardly any time. They all run into a big debt, and so they close up. It's really a difficult business.
Yes.
But Prabhupada really wanted it very much. He wanted very much that we'd have restaurants and Govindas and distribute prasadam, have people come, let them eat prasadam. Considered it very important. It was like Prabhupada said, this is the next phase of our preaching. He said, we haven't made enough temples, now we should make restaurants and let people come and come to the restaurant and eat. And in this way also the householders can be maintained. And the idea is that Krishna conscious householders will find employment there and they can maintain themselves by working in the Govindas. No.
Maharaj, I just have this concern, like restaurant opening, which supports also temple financially, but at the same time, is that also one of the primary goals? But also, it's also important to have proper prasadam cooked and served in the restaurant. Rather, nowadays we see a lot of outside karmis, they are hired to be cooking, in the restaurants, and then that is not impacting those who are taking the prasadam in the Govindas.
Well, it's not really how it's meant to be. The Govindas is meant to employ devotees. We like to have devotees come and work in the restaurant. We recently opened a restaurant in Far Eastern Russia in a city called Kamchatka, and they brought the devotees from Ukraine and like that, but they have nice devotees all coming to work there. If you advertise often, you can find devotees willing to come and work, looking for jobs. Not that you have to hire people who are not devotees. It's certainly very poor standard if you bring in people who are not devotees to come and work in our Govinda restaurant. It's defeating the purpose, actually.
Usually when I travel
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, you're back.
We were abruptly ejected from our room.
Sorry, Maharaj.
Okay, our time is up.
Where's it gone? 1 second. You need to unmute, Maharaj, because we can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. Now we can hear you. Yes. Sorry, you were saying something.
And I was saying that we were abruptly thrown out of our room.
Ejected from the room. I put it on a timer, you see, and it must have just said, okay, right, that's it.
Okay. All right. Anyway, we had very nice discussion in room number 5.
So, Maharaj, we've got like 10 minutes left. Maybe if you start off with your room, but I was thinking, because I visited a couple of rooms and there were some really nice conversations going on, maybe we could continue this tomorrow morning a little bit, because it's quite an important part of the lecture of devotion, because these are really practical instructions in our spiritual life as well, practical realizations. So if that's okay with you, we could hear from maybe your group first today, and then we'll hear from some of the other groups tomorrow morning. Is that okay with you?
Yes, fine. Okay. So I'll start off. We heard about nice exchanges, about devotees meeting together and inquiring from each other, but sometimes the topic of the discussions degrade, and it's not very Krishna conscious. When they start discussing with each other, they just start criticizing people and different things in our movement, and it doesn't really help the devotees at all. So I said that you have to be very careful in these kind of conversations. Make sure senior devotee is there to guide the conversation, to lead it to the proper path, to take away these doubts which are there in the mind. We also heard about some restaurants, that there's some restaurants where they employ people who are not devotees to do the cooking. So I said, this is really not how Prabhupada envisioned it. That the Govinda's restaurants were meant to employ the devotees. The devotees could cook food there and offer it to Krishna, and people would come and get prasadam. We don't just want to run a business. It's not just running a restaurant, but the idea is to give people prasadam. So I'm a little disturbed to hear about how non-devotees are coming and cooking in restaurants. Okay, so we were discussing these things. So maybe we can hear from some other room.
Maybe we can go to Bhakti and Prabhu. What group were you in?
Hare Krishna. I don't know the number of the group. I was just in the group and I was started.
Room 3. Room 3. Well, maybe we can hear from. Yeah, I'm just looking at the list now. Yeah, maybe we can hear from room 3 first then.
Okay. Well, we discussed many experiences, individual experiences, positive, and how it affected our lives positively, and how and negative. These exchanges, loving exchanges. For instance, in my case, in the lockdown period, I was really I wanted to change the festival and done, and I was in the room, and then the energy, the spiritual energy just was different compared to when it was when everything was more when we could attend the festivals and everything. So it was just left up to me to motivate myself. So that was one of mine. And some other devotee, any Prabhuji, I don't know.
From your group? Yeah, from your group. Somebody else from room 3 might want to comment?
Where was Rukam? Where was he? Which place?
He's in Mayapur.
Oh, he's in my...
Yeah, he's in Mayapur. he's a Mayapur resident. He does a lot of service here. We've got a couple like that in the group actually.
Okay.
It's nice to see the young people who are joining in. Yeah. Have you got anybody else in room 3 there who would like to contribute something as well? That'd be nice to hear from you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Karuna Sindhu.
I was part of room number 3. So we discussed mostly about, in general we discussed how when we have good loving exchanges with new people, that it helps to make them a nice devotee. So everyone remembers how devotees helped me in different circumstances, and because of that I became a devotee. So they feel the difference how outside people behave and how different devotees are so much caring and all. In general we discussed. And also in negativity also discussed that in temple some new people come, so how we have to be very careful. We have to have some training to deal with new people, how to, because they don't know many things, and we should not get angry with them, and how should we deal with the situation when they are in. In general we have discussed all these things, how that will have an impact or impression in their life.
You want to comment on that, Maharaj?
Yes, we also related like that, similarly, that people from the very beginning, their first contact with the devotee was when a devotee gave them prasadam, some kind of, maybe an orange or a cookie or something. And so they remember these things. It's putting the seed of bhakti into them. Their first contact with the devotee giving them something. So it creates a very favorable relationship with the devotees.
So we can actually see this, these loving exchanges of giving and receiving in action, especially when it comes to new devotees. I remember when I first went to the manor, I was in my jeans and my t-shirt, and I hadn't slept all night. I couldn't sleep. Something was wrong, and I didn't know what was wrong. And I think I must have been coming up to 49 years old. It was about 5 years ago. And I went to Bhaktivedanta Manor, and I thought, I have to go to this morning program that I see advertised on the internet. And I turned up there, stinking of cigarettes, because I used to smoke at that time. And I had my jeans and t-shirt on. And the first thing somebody did, because there's 2 places to stand. On the right by the entrance, the Mataji stand, and on the left stand to the Prabhus. And of course I went in very sheepishly and just stood sort of on the right side where the Matajis were. And then somebody said, Prabhus over this side. And I thought, oh, and I didn't know what he meant by that. Well, Prabhus, I've never heard this word before. Then another young man came over and he said, it's okay. He said, he means gentlemen over this side. You're clearly new. Yes, I said yes. And he said, oh, just 1 minute. And he brought a little box with a Mahasweet. I didn't know what was in it, and I thought, oh, okay, what's this? He said, have a look at it after the morning program and come and see me. So then after, when the Mangalarti had finished, I opened the box, and I have a very sweet tooth, so I felt this overwhelming sense of joy, because somebody had given me something so simple, but something that I really, really liked, and in the temple, and I felt immediately this sense of warmth. Anyway, that's just a realization I wanted to share with you, so yeah, we do see the loving exchanges in action. It's interesting because for me, when I read the Nectar of Instruction, I see that Prabhupada has actually crafted this movement according to the instructions of the Nectar of Instruction. He's given us the morning program, the way of, sharing prasadam. It's all there in the Nectar of Instruction. He's put these instructions into very practical, everyday experience for us. And I think sometimes we miss that connection. So it's nice to hear your realizations as well. It's good to hear some more tomorrow, I think. So Maharaj, we've reached 10:30. Should we stop there for today?
Okay.
Okay, and then we can continue tomorrow morning with a couple of these, if that's okay with you?
Yes, we'll continue tomorrow. We'll hear a couple more rooms about the realizations. So they can meditate on it this evening or today and tell us tomorrow. And we'll go on tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you very much. Sorry about the breakdown.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.